I like to make bowls off the hump, meaning off a big mound of clay. I'm going to make a bunch of bowls from this big piece of clay, one little bowl on the top at a time. Center the clay, but I'm not going to center the whole thing. I'm going to get most of it close to center, and then I'm only going to center the pieces that I'm working with. I'm squeezing the clay between the palms of my hand and pushing in. As I push in, I pull up. You always, when you apply pressure, give your clay somewhere to go. So push in, pull up. This is coning. I'm going to cone it a little bit, not a lot, and just get this top piece centered. I'm going to center a doorknob right on the top of this. Doorknob's a good name for it. A big doorknob will make a big bowl, and a smaller one will obviously make a smaller bowl, but all my bowls are made this way. And I'm centering it the same way I would center as if I were throwing a regular pot on the board, on the bat. And I'm centering it the same way I would center any other ball of clay, except for my hands are a little bit different. I'm pushing in with this part, and instead of pushing down with my hand this way, I'm pushing down with my thumbs that way. So this part pushes up and this part pushes down, but it's the same up and down motion and centering that you would use on a larger piece of clay on the bat or on the wheel head. Now it's centered. I'm going to open it with my thumbs, and my elbows are squeezed into my ribs to hold on to make sure I'm secure, and then I'm just going to open it up. I like to throw fairly dry. I don't even own a splash pan anymore. It went away years ago. Where splash pans go, I'm not sure where that is. Anyway, I'm going to just pull this up the same way I would throw any other pot. And I'm careful not to use a lot of water because even though I do have towels on my legs, I don't want to get a lot of water all over the studio. I like my bowls to be 7 inches by 4, meaning they are 7 inches wide, and this is my caliper I talked about before, my half a hanger, 7 inches wide and 4 inches tall. Now these are pre-measured 7 and 4. Going to pull it out, get it close to what I want it to be. I'm also throwing with my sponge in the palm of my hand. It's a moisture source, so it's always nice and moist and slidey. We're getting close to 7 inches. Don't worry about, I find it very difficult to compact the bottom at this stage because as you push, the energy just goes down into the clay and it's lost and you can't compact that. We'll talk more about that when we trim these. So that's about 7 inches. And I'm going to measure with my caliper. It's a little small. I'm going to take it out just a little bit more. And once I have the width, I like to measure the height. Now this is a neat tool, it's just half a clothes peg. I'm going to go in and undercut that a little bit so it defines where the bowl is. And with my caliper, I'm going to measure 4 inches. It's just about there. It's a bit short. I'm going to pull it up a little bit more, being careful not to make it wider, but just taller. Now we're at 4. If it were taller, I would cut it off. If it was shorter, or if it's too big, I make it small, and if it's too small, I make it bigger. And this is just one of these regular sculpting tools. I'm going to go in and make a nice little dent or edge to put my wire. I'm going to tidy it up, making sure it's nice and smooth. You don't want a lot of bumps in this. You're going to compact the edge a little bit so it's tidy. Make sure you have a nice line. And that's your bowl. Put my wire in that trough I made with the sculpting tool, cross them and pull them through. Going to pick it up gently and put it on the board. And that's throwing off the hump. Then you just rinse and repeat. I'll show it again quickly. So we're just going to center it up a little bit. I'm going to do this one a little faster. Get it centered by pushing and pulling with your hands. making sure it's centered. As you start throwing, your fingers will feel it's the same doorknob size. We're going to open, pull it up, compact the top a bit, get your sponge, clean up your mess, and pull it out so it feels like it's almost 7. Tidy up the inside. It's not quite 4. Measure your 7. Make your trough. Make your line for your wire. Oh, and measure the 4. This one feels like 4. And after a while, your fingers just get to feel it's the right size. Tidy it up, making sure it's nice and smooth on the bottom. But like I said, we'll address this compacting when we trim. Make it smooth on the inside, smooth on the outside. Cut it off. And repeat. When you first start working off the hump, sometimes people get nervous to pick up the actual pot. You can cut it twice if the bowl were there. There it is. If the bowl were there, you can make another trough and pick it up this way. Then you're touching the clay and not the piece. But that's a lot of clay, and if you do that in every bowl, you're going to use a lot more clay than necessary. I can put that back on. And as I said, rinse and repeat. So there's making bowls off the hump. We'll talk about trimming them later.